guns lead to more death.
Would you co-sponsor
more
that?
guns lead to more death.
Would you co-sponsor
Look at the
that?
data. You're not looking at any data.
I'm Farney Shamiri, congressional reporter with the Associated Press. The issue of gun violence is a perennial one on Capitol Hill, with Republicans and Democrats often not being able to find common ground on how to move forward. And as each school shooting goes by, the pressure and the issue becomes more of a problem. And Democrats yesterday saw that really come to a boiling point. Democrats held a press conference with a huge banner in front of their podium that said, "Kids over guns." And throughout the day, you could tell that the tension had risen. And obviously, being in the minority, Democrats are now trying to figure out a way to get their Republican colleagues on board with some what they call common sense gun legislation. A few hours after the press conference that Democrats held, in which they implored their colleagues to do something to, question whether how many more kids needed to be killed before action was taken, Representative Jamaal Bowman of New York, a Democrat, came out of House votes and was surrounded by a group of journalists. And he then goes on to implore journalists like myself from the Associated Press and many other outlets to question Republicans on what their plan is to tackle gun violence. And while Bowman is talking to us, Representative Thomas Massie of Kentucky, a Republican, comes out and asks him what he's talking about. And when Bowman mentions gun violence, Massie responds and saying that the answer to the shooting in Nashville is to arm more teachers. And in this video, you'll see how that moment went out.
Are you listening to what I'm saying?
Yeah, calm down.
Calm down. Children are dying.
I know.
9-year-old children. Because the solution is not arming teachers. Have you ever worked in a school? Have you ever worked in a school?
In response to Massie's proposal to arm more teachers, you see Bowman getting much, much more aggravated and passionate about his speech, because he used to be a school principal in New York and worked with predominantly Black and brown kids in low-income neighborhoods. And so his response to Massie's proposal of arming teachers is one of frustration and an argument that he says he's been having with Republicans for a long time, and gets really angry when they respond to the issue of guns with adding more guns. And, Democrats are in a moment right now where they're in the minority. They spent the last 2 years being in the majority, passing, very modest gun reform legislation. And now, they're trying to implore their Republican colleagues to do more, but there's very little common ground that the two parties have on this issue.